boys and girls, welcome. It's me, Mr. White. I'm outdoors. I'm glad you came to visit me. I was just out for a little canoe paddle in my canoe, and oh my goodness, is it ever nice out. There are geese and ducks and muskrats all swimming around in this little pond. It's a wonderful place. I'm glad I got outside today. I found something really neat this morning. I'm going to go back that way. You give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to take my canoe out of the water, and I want to show you a little bit about the canoe, how to get in and how to get out, and how to be very safe and stable so you don't fall in the water. I'll get my canoe out of the water and I'll show you that, and then I'm going to take you for a little hike down the creek. I found something really neat. Then at the very end, I have a special project that I'd like for you to do. Welcome to Outdoors with Mr. White. Today we're talking about canoes. One of my favorite things to do in the summer is to go canoeing. And today I want to show you a couple of quick things, some safety rules, and maybe some skills that you might not know if you do get a chance to go canoeing sometime this summer. First thing, always make sure you have a life jacket on. Number two, when I have to get into a canoe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand on the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay down nice and low. I'm not standing up tall. I'm down nice and low. I put my foot in the middle of the boat. I stay low like I'm sneaking up on something, and I reach across and grab the other side. When I've got both sides, I stay as low as I can. I put my other leg in and I get down on my knees and I stay nice and low like this. My knees, I stay nice and wide and low, so if my boat rocks, I'm not going to fall in. If I stand up or if I get up too tall, that's what makes the boat unstable. So we have to learn to stay low and stay wide. Just like in most of our games, we stay nice and low and wide, and it gives you good balance. We know that from gymnastics. Okay, so hands on the side, knees apart, down nice and low. I can enjoy my paddle. I can be out paddling, and I just paddle along. I can paddle on the other side. When I'm getting out, the same thing. I put my hands on the sides. I stay low as I can. Keep my feet right in the middle. Try to stay as close as I can to the middle. Now I'm going to reach one foot out until I get on the land, and then I'm going to gently pull myself back to the land, and I'm out. Okay? So I'm going to show you that one more time. Hand on the side, foot in the middle, stay nice and low like you're sneaking up, and then I put my knees in and stay really low right in the middle. I don't go to the sides. I don't look over there because that makes my boat rock. So I stay right in the middle. Okay, to get out, same thing. I keep my hands apart, stand in the middle. There's a line right there in the middle. I put my foot out, come across the other side, and I'm safe. That's how you get in and out of a canoe. I did it on land. You could even practice it in your house. Put your hand on the side of the bathtub, put your foot in the middle of the bathtub, reach across to the other side of the bathtub, keep in the middle, and sit down. You can pretend you're paddling in your bathtub. When you're all finished your canoe trip, you can put your hands on the side, stand up in the middle, and see if you can get out of your bathtub. Okay? Don't forget, wear your life jacket. I know it's a bathtub, but you're still canoeing. Boys and girls, there's a lot of old birch trees here, and here's an old dead one, and all the bark is falling off of it. And if you look here on the ground, you can see big pieces of bark. This is huge. That's a huge piece of bark. There's another one. That's a nice piece of bark. That's huge. I think I'm going to take that home. I think I'm going to make something with that bark. You know, that people a long time ago used to collect this bark, and they used to make canoes out of it. And there's not enough here for me to make a canoe. But you know what? There might be. I'd love to go canoeing. I don't think it'll make a big canoe, but I can still make a canoe. Let's try that. A birch bark canoe. Hey boys and girls, we just got off the water canoeing, and it was a wonderful trip. And I also, when I was leaving, I walked that creek bed just to do some exploring and came across that huge piece of birch bark that was just lying on the ground. Now, that piece of birch bark gave me an idea that I could take it home and make something that I've always wanted to have, and that's a birch bark canoe. So I can't really make birch bark canoes as big as the canoe that you saw me in the water, but I can make a small one. And there are people, the Mi'kmaq people, who used to make birch bark canoes very, very big, bigger than the canoe that I was in, and they would make it out of birch bark. But that art and that craft and that skill is not being done very much now at all. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a man. His name is Todd Labrador. And if you're interested in this, you can take a look up on YouTube or on the internet. His name is Todd Labrador, and he is the only Mi'kmaq man that I know. I think he could be the only man in the world, Mi'kmaq man, who is actually making canoes out of birch bark. He is what they call a master canoe builder. So you can look him up. His name is Todd Labrador. And today I thought I would kind of honor Mr. Labrador by trying to give you some information about his craft and his skill and his culture. And we're going to try to make today a birch bark canoe. Boys and girls, in order for us to do the Mi'kmaq birch bark canoe today, I want to show you some of the materials that you're going to need. Now, these are our tools for making our birch bark canoe, and the Mi'kmaq people would not have used these tools. The Mi'kmaq people would have had to use just whatever they had. So we're going to use some things here, and I'll explain how they differ a little bit from what traditional Mi'kmaq people used to make their birch bark canoes. And I've watched all kinds of things and talked to people of the Mi'kmaq people and asked them for some advice. So I'm going to really try to honor them with this activity today. So these are our tools, but you'll have to realize that when a real canoe was being built, the tools were a lot different. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to need is we're going to need some glue. And you'll see you can use different types of glue, but this is just the glue that I brought today. So I'm going to set my glue down here. We will need some string. We'll need some string, and it doesn't matter what kind of string. To start, in fact, you may not even need string, but this is a little more advanced, and maybe some of the grade 2s and 3s will want to put some string on theirs. Maybe the primary ones may just leave it at the beginning, but you'll see the craft. Watch the whole thing first, then you can gather your things and say, okay, I want to do this option or the other option, because Mr. White's going to try to take it to some different levels today. So our string is here just in case, so I just wanted to show you that so I don't surprise you. We'll need some type of marker or crayon or pencil or something. I just brought some colors that I liked and that will be easily seen. And we're going to need some scissors. Okay, some scissors. And if you are not a very good cutter, that's a skill that we have to learn. It's good to try. If you have a parent around, that makes it much safer. And if you have difficulty with it at first, maybe get your mom and dad to give you a hand. But you know what? That's a skill that you have to learn. And just like when you're doing real canoe building, sometimes people experimented with things and they made mistakes. But you know what? That's how we learn to fix things. If mom or dad do everything for you, then you'll never learn to do anything. So try to make a cut. If you can make the cut, great. If you can't make the cut, try it again. Keep trying until you've got it. Okay, so that's how we learn things, is just by trying and trying and trying. So we do need scissors. And the last thing is you're going to need the piece of paper that Mr. White gave you with your lesson plan. If you click on the little link, you'll see this. And this is just a drawing that Mr. White made on my computer. And it says that it was... the inspiration were designs of Mi'kmaq master canoe builder Todd Labrador. Now, step one on our birch bark canoe is we're going to actually just make it out of paper. So the first thing you're going to do, we're going to cut around the outside edge. Now, if you don't have this paper, if you are just watching this video, you can actually just fold a piece of paper in half and cut the canoe shape. This canoe shape actually is one that Mr. Labrador made. And I just kind of watched how he designed his canoe, and hopefully it's going to look kind of like Mr. Labrador's canoe when it's finished. So let's cut this thing out. There we go. This is the shape that you should have. Okay, step 1 is finished and we have our paper shape. Now this dotted line, you have to make sure that you don't cut along that dotted line. That is called a fold line, okay? So I'm going to fold that right on that line. And like I said before, if you can do this yourself, I would love to see that happen. If you need mom and dad's help a little bit, that's okay too, but try it sometime by yourself. Did you hear the woodpecker? Listen. Maybe he'll come close enough after and we'll be able to see him. He's a pileated woodpecker. They do a lot of damage to trees. Okay, so back to the canoe. I folded my canoe right in half, right on that line. And now this is the shape of Mr. Labrador's canoe. And you'll see that his ends only come up a little wee bit, but in the middle is very interesting. Something that Mr. White even learned. The middle part is humped. It's kind of bigger. And the reason is because Mr. Labrador and the Mi'kmaq people knew that the waves were big. And when the waves come up and splash on the side, if it was low, like Mr. White's canoe, the water would come right in. So they have the sides raised up a little bit. So when the waves are touching, they only go on the side of the boat and they don't go in. So I hope your boat looks just like that. I'll give you time to fold. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue on the very, very end right here. Just a little on the end like that. Okay, so I just put a little glue on the end on the bow. And now I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the stern like that. I put my cover on. And now I'm just going to push. I'm going to kind of push my ends together, fold my canoe so that there is my bow or my stern. It's kind of stuck together and I can hold that for a second. And then I can go to the other end and I can make sure that it's lined up and I can kind of squeeze them together, but I don't want any glue in the middle because that's where I'm going to sit right in there. Oh, there goes my paddle. So yeah, I'm going to sit in the middle. So I glue the bow and I glue the stern and now I leave the middle open because that's where the Mi'kmaq people and where Mr. White and where you can sit if we ever take a canoe trip, we'll sit right in there. Okay, boys and girls. Now on the other part of our paper, there's a little thing that kind of looks like a band-aid. And what Mr. White made here is this is going to be our seat where we're going to sit in our canoe so that we can go for a little paddle. Okay, so that's the importance of this. Let's cut that out and then I'll show you how we're going to use that. Okay, now we're going to take our little seat and you see the little lines on the end. So you should have cut, it should look kind of just like that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold this end one way or the other so that's kind of like that. And we're going to fold the other side the same way. So this will be our little seat for our canoe and it'll help hold the sides up. Okay, now we have to get our spruce gum out and put a little bit of glue on the end and a little bit of spruce gum glue on the end over there. It's so much easier using glue than spruce gum. It must have been very hard to connect things with spruce gum. So now I'm going to put my little seat inside the middle with my little tags that are covered with glue. Put them down. And I'm just going to gently put that in there. So now I have a little canoe inspired by Mi'kmaq culture. And it kind of looks like a Mi'kmaq canoe. I'm going to show you a couple of little changes you can make. So let's set this one aside. And I'll show you something that you can do, okay? Now, I'm almost finished up to the completed one that we finished already. And the only thing I have to do is put my seat in. But before I put my seat in, I want to do something. I want to remember today for a long time. And there are all kinds of ways of remembering, but one of the neatest ways that I like to remember things is by pictures. And sometimes on Facebook, people will take pictures and post pictures or post videos, and then that way they can always look back on them later. A long time ago, people took pictures and put them in photo albums. And if you go to your nanny's or somebody's house, you can ask them for their photo albums. And sometimes they have a book that's full of pictures. Now we just kind of put them on the internet and on the computer. But a long, long time ago, the way that Mi'kmaq people and Indigenous people could remember stories and remember events was by drawing pictures. And they call these petroglyphs. Petroglyphs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to remember today by putting some drawings on the side of my canoe to make me remember this day. So first of all, one of the things that we did, I'm going to just put my canoe down here and I'll draw some pictures. And it doesn't matter how well you draw, but I'm just going to make, you know what, Mr. White heard a pileated woodpecker. I'm going to draw like a little woodpecker. Maybe I'll draw a tree. So see, I'm going to just draw a little tree here, and it doesn't have to be anything special. I'm going to draw a tree there, and I think I'm going to draw a little hole in the tree like that. There's my tree, my branches, and a little hole, and that will remind me about the pileated woodpecker. And I think over on this side, I'm going to draw a paddle. So I'm going to draw a little paddle like this, and it's going to come out there. And maybe in the middle, I'll draw, you know what, it's a very sunny day. I think I'm going to draw a sun here. So I'll just make my circle. And then I'll draw a sun there. And maybe, you know what, because you're watching and you're participating, I think I'm going to draw some little people here. Mr. White could draw all day and draw some really nice things, but you know what, this is great for just telling the story. And do you know what, I have to think, I think I'm going to put some of the things that we're working on. We're going to use our scissors. And we're using some glue, so maybe I'll draw a glue bottle. So there, look at that. So this little canoe now is not just a regular canoe. If I look at this canoe, somebody's going to say, oh yeah, that's kind of nice, that's a regular canoe. But now this canoe is a little more special to me because it tells a story. Today, we heard the woodpecker and he was digging a hole in a tree. So I'll always remember this. In years and years to come, I'll be able to pick this up and say, I remember that. It was a sunny day, and you were here with me, watching, and we had scissors and glue, and I had my paddle, so we knew I was in my canoe. So this tells a story, and it's very important. So now I could give this to somebody, and they would say, do you know that Mr. White had some children watching? They went into the woods, and they heard the pileated woodpecker. It was a sunny day, and he had scissors and glue, and he must have went canoeing. And they could continue to tell that story for a long time. So I can put some color in that if I want. I could put some patterns around it. I could flip it over on the other side and draw some things on there. Okay? So I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to show you. Okay? I'll surprise you. I'm going to go do another one. Boys and girls, I just made another one. I like this one. This one's got some color in it. And what I did was, sometimes I like to do my canoeing in the daytime when it's nice and sunny. And sometimes I really, really like canoeing at dark, at night. So you can go out and there's the moon and the stars. And then I just put a little pattern on the side. I like that little pattern around the side there. And I did the same on this side. I want to take this to the next step, trying to make our birch bark canoe more Mi'kmaq authentic, okay? And authentic means make it truer to the real way that the Mi'kmaq people made their birch bark canoes. I took a piece of the birch bark, and what I want to do is I want you to take your boat and I want you to put it on top like that. And I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to trace my pattern. There, I've traced the shape on the birch bark. I always think it's so neat. Mr. Labrador's canoe, the Mi'kmaq canoe, is so different with the sides up, and I wish mine had sides up now. There. Now we know what to do from here, don't we? Spruce gum on the end and a little bit on this end. And I'm going to hold these together while I listen to our pileated woodpecker. I'm going to hold this together to see if this will make our first birch bark canoe. Okay, boys and girls, I think we've held it long enough. I let it go a second ago, and I did see a little spot on the bottom where the birch bark had cracked, and it would have been a leak, so I just put a little bit of glue on, a little bit of our spruce gum, and I put a patch on it. So now you can see a little patch on the bottom, and there's our birch bark canoe. A lot cooler than the other ones, but I still like the other ones. Our petroglyph one. Now what you can do is when you do that, there are a couple of other things we can do to make it even more authentic, okay? So I want to make it more like a real Mi'kmaq canoe, okay? Let's go to our next step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my markers and I'm going to put my little story about me. Not about today's adventure, but just about me. And one of the things that Mr. White really likes to do is I like to go in the woods and I like to look for deer. So what I'm going to do right here is something that I know that you know this. So I'm going to put one of those on the front of my birch bark canoe. And you know what that is? That's right, that's a deer track. And I'm going to put another track on there at the very back. Watch this and see if you know what this one is. Does anybody know what that one is? 5 toes, and you can see its nails. And we talked about that earlier this year. That's right, that is a bear paw print, isn't it? That's a bear paw print. So there is my canoe. I'm going to do that on the other side. There. I like deer and bear. So my canoe is going to tell a story about somebody who likes deer and bear. And you know something else I like? I like to go around in the woods with my compass. And I like to go north and south and east and west. And I like to explore. You know I like to explore. So I think what I'm going to do in the middle is I'm going to draw a little compass. This is really called a compass rose. And it shows you north and south and east and west. And you find a compass rose on maps. If you ever have a map and you're looking at a map or you're not sure where to go, you'll see a compass rose on the side. So there's my compass rose. That's my petroglyph. So this shows you that this person who owns this canoe likes bear and likes deer and likes to go maybe navigating and hiking and exploring. So I'm going to put the same compass rose on this side. And you know what? Your drawings don't have to be perfect. Mr. White's just doing this quickly because I'm just telling a quick story. Maybe about me, maybe about the day that I had. And you can put anything on it at all. You could put people in your family. Maybe they went on a trip in a canoe, or maybe they just went on a hike and you want to, okay? There we go. I think I'm going to add a little bit more to it. There. Mr. White has finished my story. So, I like to look for bear, I like to look for deer, and I like to go hiking in the woods. And I like the colors orange and blue. And that's my birch bark canoe the way I like it. I have a more authentic looking Mi'kmaq canoe, like Mr. Labrador makes. In the Mi'kmaq culture, they believe that when you take something, from the earth, or when the earth offers you something, that you should offer something back. So Mr. White is going to offer something just in keeping in the tradition of the Mi'kmaq culture. When Mr. Labrador harvests a tree, he offers tobacco to the land. And I'd like to thank the land too for giving me this birch bark. We're very lucky to have it. So Mr. White doesn't have tobacco, so I'm going to plant some seeds. So today we're going to plant a few seeds and give back to the earth so that maybe a new plant will grow and maybe some animals can eat. So when somebody gives us something, we have to say thank you, even if it's a tree. If a tree gives me this birch bark, or if I get a nice sunny day, or an animal gives me fur or something like that, I have to say thank you. So my way of saying thank you today is going to be by planting a seed. The next step, and you're going to have to get some help with this one, it'll be the last step, and Mr. White wants to talk a little bit about how Mr. Labrador holds everything together besides the spruce gum. He also uses roots from trees. So what he does is he would go around to a tree and find the little roots, and when he pulls the roots up from the top, it doesn't hurt the tree. He finds the roots and he pulls the root up, and then he has to split those and kind of make like a wooden rope, and he winds all the wood together and pokes holes through the birch bark and makes sure that all the wooden parts inside are stuck together. So it's kind of like sewing with the root of a tree. There are some roots around here, but it's a real skill that Mr. Labrador has, and the Mi'kmaq canoe builders have, that Mr. White doesn't have yet. I'm going to show you what I did at home when I was getting ready. I took a canoe like this, and I was practicing making our canoes, but I didn't put any drawing on this one because I really hadn't had a story up till now. And what I did was I made this the same, but if you look, you can see one little difference. And that's right, it's the string. Mr. White said we need some string. If you want to take it to this level, what you can do is Mr. White took a very small nail that wasn't very sharp, and I just poked a hole all along the very top of my canoe, around the edge. And what I did was I took a little needle and some string, and I poked it through, and then it came out. Now, if you poke the hole big enough, you could actually push the string through. And this is something that maybe the grade 2s and 3s could do. If you're in primary and 1 and you'd like to have a canoe that kind of looks like this, and then you could put your petroglyphs or your pictures on it, then you'd have to get mom and dad to help you with this one. Maybe they could poke the holes and you could get some string and push it through. It's kind of like laces. Maybe a sneaker lace would work or something like that. But that is what you can do to make your canoe a little more authentic. And Mr. Labrador used roots of a tree to bind his things together, when the things that didn't hold together well with spruce gum. Okay, so all of the things that Mr. Labrador used were all natural things. He used the bark, and he used the wood inside, and he used roots to tie things together, and spruce gum to glue things together and to make them waterproof. So he would cover parts of it. There's a little hole, he would cover that in with spruce gum. It's very sticky and it's waterproof. And our birch bark is waterproof too, and this would float. Boys and girls, I've been searching for probably 45 minutes to an hour to try to find some spruce gum for you to at least see what it looks like. And I just found a tree that has maybe some fresh stuff on it. It has a split in the side of it, and somewhere in the middle of that split is this stuff. Look at this. It's just like, it's like white, I don't know, it's like a glob of glue gun. It's just like a glob of glue gun. And that's coming out of this spruce tree. So I'm going to carry it back to our paper, just like that. And you watch when I touch it, it's just kind of, well, you can see that it's sticky, it's kind of sticking to my finger. Oh, see that? See how it sticks? It's it's really sticky. I'm probably going to regret having that on my finger now. It'll probably stick my finger together, but I'm going to take this spruce gum back to the paper and see if I can stick two pieces of paper together and see if that resource, if that's true. Now, Mr. Labrador said he used to stick stuff together with that, and his people, the Mi'kmaq people, would use that to glue things together, and I'm going to find out if that's true or not. Boys and girls, I cut out an extra canoe pattern, and now that we have our spruce gum, I'm going to see if I can put some of this on the bow, and a little bit right there, and I'll spread that out a little bit. Wait, What do you think? Think it's gonna stick? I think so. Look, the paper has stuck to my finger. What a great discovery. That is amazing. If I ever run out of glue at school, I'm just going to go out to the spruce tree and see if there's any spruce gum on it. Look at that. It looks just like, it's like glue, like nature's glue. So I'm going to see if I can take the bough and push it on. And let's take the stern and push it on. Look at that. I don't even have to hold it. It sticks so well. Isn't that? Uh-oh. Oh, it stuck right to my finger. Oh, look at my fingers are sticking together. What a great discovery. Well, boys and girls, thanks for hanging out with me today. I had so much fun canoeing, and I'm glad you came by while I was canoeing. And I was so blessed to find that big piece of birch bark, and we got a chance to have some fun with it. Instead of just leaving it on the ground and letting it go to waste or go to rot, it was nice that we were given that piece of birch bark to make some nice canoes like Todd Labrador does. So if you choose to make just the plain paper canoe, or if you want to make the paper canoe with a little bit of a story from the petroglyphs on the side, and I know that you still know that story, we'll remember that one for a long time. I'm going to keep that one. Or if you decide to make one with the real birch bark and glue the end, now you may even put some glue gun on the end. It makes it stay a little bit better. Or that spruce gum works well too. So you can put the spruce gum on, or a glue gun works a little bit better with the birch bark. You may even take it all the way, and how Mr. Labrador put the roots, the split roots, all around and tied things together. That's what that string symbolizes on my last canoe. So if you'd like to make a canoe, please do so. I'd love to see them. Send me some pictures. You can make beautiful ones. Be proud of them. It's nice to chat a little bit about the Mi'kmaq heritage and learn some things that maybe we didn't know before. Take care. We'll see you next time.